it's Dan here with another week in review where I share with you the comics and trades I've read for the week. Yeah, I'm planning on calling this Some Deadpool because I've got quite a few Deadpool books to read and review this week. And the first book for this week is Deadpool vs. S.H.I.E.L.D. And I think this is volume 3 or 4. Not 100% sure. But anyways, this kind of, I didn't read the book, volume 2 that's between this one and volume 1. I read volume 1, Dead Presidents. And in that one, there was the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent named Preston, and she was killed, and she's now inhabiting Deadpool's body, sharing his mind with him. So, of course, they must have did something in volume 2 that totally, they didn't pick up from volume 1 where they should have. And now they're trying to get another body for Preston, and there are people looking to kill Deadpool. There's a $10 million hit on him. So this was just okay. It did feature Agent Coulson. It featured Sabretooth very briefly, and this guy named Crossbones, who is another mercenary type. I've seen him in other Marvel books. But, it had some funny jokes. I mean, I know that they've hired a comedian to write the script for this comic, but it wasn't just that great. I mean, I get that it's, comedic somewhat, but it just wasn't that funny or that entertaining. So, I only rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. I know a few people that I'm friends with on Goodreads thought this was great. They really loved it. They gave it 4 or 5 stars. I just didn't see it. Okay, up next we have Deadpool Axis Volume 7. And this takes place during the Access story. This one was kind of interesting because something happened on the island of Genosha, and it corrupted everyone who was there, battling against the Red Skull. Of course, we never see the Red Skull in this volume, but it was kind of interesting because I kind of liked Zenpool, I think is what he was called. He was like the Deadpool's total opposite. And of course, I don't know, these guys, they're called the Foemen. They're like Deadpool-y looking X-Men. And those guys, it was kind of interesting to see them, and they must have appeared in volume 2, which I have not read yet, and I think I should get to soon. This was really funny. This had a lot of funny jokes, and I did like this one better, so I did rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, we have Deadpool All Good Things Volume 8. I have to say that this cover of the parody of Mad Max, with Deadpool as Mad Max, this is one of my favorites. This one had a lot of cool covers in it. Not to geek out too much over the covers, but that is super, super fucking cool. You cannot... I'm a big fan of Mad Max. I'm kind of playing Mad Max on the PlayStation 4 right now. This was a really, really good Deadpool book. If you remember from when I talked about the last volume I just read, Deadpool had an epiphany, and when he was Zenpool, and he's kind of trying to change who he is. He doesn't want to be this ruthless killer guy. I mean, he wants to help people. And this does feature Omega Red, who is another Weapon X guy. And, of course, he goes to this, Middle Eastern country, and he's trying to free them from these people that are trying to rob them of their oil. And it's got a lot of, there's backstories, not really backstories, but filler stories in the back of this. And usually I hate filler stories, but these filler stories were really good. One of them was where he bought his daughter, Ellie, a dog. That's Taco Dog. And Taco Dog is like Deadpool, and he talks like Deadpool. That was hilarious. And then there was another one that was an Infinity Gauntlet story where Deadpool had stolen the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos, and he decided to roast himself with all the characters from the Marvel Universe. That one was funny too, because it was kind of funny. He's like, yeah, I'm a B-list character, and I'm being roasted by some of you C and D list characters. I thought that was kind of funny that he would mention that, because he's like, who are you anyways? But yeah, this was really, really good. This was a really funny read, so I did rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next we have Spider-Man 2099, Out of Time. This is volume 1. I'll admit I read a few issues of the first Spider-Man 2099. I remember, I think it was in the late 90s, early 2000s when they came out. Yeah, the mid to late 90s. So, I really liked this character, but this was kind of a disappointment. I know that Miguel O'Hara is stranded in the year 2014, and he's trying to figure out how to get back home while trying to protect his ancestors in this time period. So it was really just okay, and I have to admit the best part of this was a part that I had already read in the Spider-Verse. So this kind of leads into the Spider-Verse. But this was just okay, and I only rated this 3 out of 5 stars. It's okay. It would be nice to reread the classic Spider-Man 2099s. But okay, up next we have Grayson Volume 2, We All Die at Dawn. I think this is going to be the last Grayson book I ever read. To sum this up, I liked Robin, I like Nightwing, but Grayson, oh hell no. I can't get into this. It's so hard to see Dick Grayson as a spy versus spy comic. I'm sorry guys, like this was so like draggingly boring. Like I just can't get into this. The whole idea that it's a secret organization and they use like these little contact lenses that make this so no one knows what they look like, and I couldn't get into it. It was good enough where I did give it a 3 out of 5 stars. It was almost a 2 out of 5 stars, but yeah, I don't know if I said that with the first volume. I think I really didn't like the first volume either, but yeah, I will definitely not be reading any more of these. Up next we have Star Wars Infinity's Legends. Now this one, if you don't remember me going over one of the Infinity's books before, what they are what-if stories. And this one features the New Hope 2 Return of the Jedi. So it was kind of fun to read these, to see like subtle changes in how they would have affected the stories. And the last third of this book was based on the original rough draft of the Star Wars series, which was kind of fun and interesting to see, although I quickly became bored with it. It was just so different from the original, and it was just like, it looked like a B-movie sci-fi story than the classic Star Wars that we know. So in its entirety, I decided to give this a 3 out of 5 star rating. Okay, up next we have Ultimate Annuals Volume 2. I actually miss reading these Ultimate comics. This one featured Ultimate Fantastic Four, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Spider-Man. So this was great. I was really excited to read these Ultimate issues. The new Ultimates were just not as good as this. The Fantastic Four story was just kind of weak. It was okay, but the X-Men story where Nightcrawler is going through his own issues because he was a part of the Weapon X program, and yeah, I won't say too much more about that story because I don't want to spoil it, but that and the Spider-Man one where he realizes he's being set up by higher powers in the city. That one features a cameo by the Punisher and Daredevil. So this overall was pretty good. I did rate this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's worth picking up and reading. Or no, actually, I think I rated this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. After that, I read Sinestro, Volume 1, The Demon Within. This is a new Sinestro solo book that it details him reuniting with the Sinestro Corps and some later events that I won't spoil, but it was really good. It did have its slow part where I was like, oh man, this is just a 3-star book, but then we got to the very end and it was revealed like what happened 5 years later. I thought this was really good. It was highly entertaining. I gave this a 4 out of 5 star rating. It's worth picking up if you're a fan of Sinestro or the Green Lanterns. You might like that. After that, I read Weird World War Zones Volume 0. This was another one. It started out kind of slow. I don't know where in the Marvel Universe some of these characters are from. Like Archon, I've never heard of him. I am familiar with Crystar. I know a lot of people were commenting on how, out of all the things that Marvel had done, they had Crystar in here and the Man-Things. Morgan Le Fay. It was fun. It was definitely really strange, but it wasn't until I got to the very end that I thought this was really good, and I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars too. This features like more lesser known Marvel characters, you know. Up next we have Deadpool, World's Greatest Millionaire with a Mouth, Volume 1. It's a new, well, not really a new Deadpool. It's a new series. Must be they're starting every year. They're going to start doing the issues like 1 through whatever. And this is Volume 1. This does take place after the previous Deadpool books that I just read. In those previous Deadpool books, Deadpool had taken down that secret organization and he got paid a lot of cash from S.H.I.E.L.D. to take them down. So of course now when he became Zenpool, he's got this total like wants to help people instead of destroy people's lives by murder and mayhem and all that other stuff that we typically know Deadpool for. But he is on a different path, and he hires a bunch of mercenaries, and they're called mercs for something, or mercs for hire, or something like that. And he's also like funding the Avengers, which is kind of weird, because when Captain America said that Deadpool could become an Avenger, he feels like he kind of owes them for that. So it was a roller coaster of a read. It was not that great, but it wasn't terrible. I did rate this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. It's worth checking out. I think they're kind of doing a good thing with Deadpool. But it's kind of hard to say at this moment where the character is going. Up next we have Peter Panzerfrost, Volume 2, Hooked. I read the Volume 1 some time ago, and I remember not really liking it. I think I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. This one was a little better, although it still wasn't that great. If you're not familiar with this series, it is a reimagining of Peter Pan in World War II France. They are resistance fighters. It was just okay. I did rate this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. After that, I read Gambit. This is a book all by itself. It's a standalone. I think I remembered some of these comics like in the early 90s, because it came out in 93, I think. This was another one. It was just okay. It kind of gives you a little more background information about Gambit. We learn he's from a thieves guild in New Orleans. And we learn that he's married to some lady named Belladonna who's like in a coma. So it was really just okay. I was almost thinking about rating this 2 out of 5 stars, but then I was like, I really love Gambit. And Rogue was in this, so I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's not that great of a story, but you can check it out if you want. Okay, and this is where I'm going to end my week in review with Year 1 Batman and Scarecrow. This is the first issue. This is a 2-issue set. And I have to say, I never really knew the Scarecrow's origin. But it was kind of interesting to see this. He is kind of a creep, I guess, and it's not really his fault, according to this. It's because of his grandmother and mother, and they raised him in poverty and in this old estate house, and it was kind of weird, and he became this creepy guy that he is, and it was okay. I only rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. I don't think I'm really going to pursue the other part to this because I didn't think it was that great. If you have read any of these books, or if you anticipate reading any of these, let me know. I always ask this, but I never get a response from people. If you read any of them, let me know what you thought of them. You know, of course, as always, if you're not already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, like it, share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. Until next time, later, guys.